Welcome to the Trainer Talk, where we discuss topics related to health and fitness to help you gain back control of your health and fitness and become the absolute best version of yourself physically and mentally. Enjoy. In this episode of the Trainer Talk, we discuss our weaknesses and struggles. A lot of people think that since we are personal trainers and coaches that we have everything figured out and we don't have any struggles or weaknesses when it comes to our health and fitness, when in fact we actually do have weaknesses and we do struggle with a lot of things. And so this episode, we cover what our weaknesses are, and then we also discuss some strategies and tips on how to overcome those struggles. A lot of people struggle with the same things, so hopefully we can help you overcome of your weaknesses as well. What are your weaknesses?
Well, we kind of touched on the going off track on the weekends, and I mean that one. It's gotten better over time. Like I used to. One thing was if I was really good throughout the week, and then I went off track on a weekend, or I didn't have my 7 meal prepped meals every day at a specific time, like I would kind of beat myself up over it. Of like, oh, man, you can't even stick to your diet or what you had meal prepped or whatever, and then it just kind of like goes into a spiral, and then you're fine again on Monday. And sometimes that happens with like one bowl of cereal. Like you have one and then you have like 2 more. You like restricted it for a while, and then you're like, well, I already had one, so I might as well have, another one and then another one. And I've gotten better at just being like having those things guilt-free of like, okay, if I'm going to have ice cream on the weekend, I'm going to have my thing ice cream, be chill with it, and go about my business. And that's way better than like, because I didn't have my chicken broccoli rice planned out meal that I planned in my fitness pal. It was okay, I had something else, it's fine, it's one off or like once a week, and you just kind of like move on from that. And that's been, it just takes overcoming that mindset of you have to be perfect to see results.
Yeah. So that reminds me, like, that's something I've gotten really good at, I think, is like just being guilt-free when you do have your, like I get a blizzard almost every single weekend. Like that's my one thing. But do a quick exercise real quick. Like how many meals/snacks do you have every day? So maybe you have like 3 meals, 2 snacks, 3 and 3. Like how many times do you eat per day?
Like 5.
5. How many days are in a week?
7.
So how many total meals are you having every week?
35.
35. So if we want to be 80-20, that means 7 meals every week don't have to be completely on track. So if you could, if you have a really bad dinner and then a dessert, like that's only 2 fuelings or meals out of 35.
Yeah.
So you should not be beating yourself up about it. You should just get back on track. Like, hey, I can enjoy this guilt-free. I'm going to be right back on track Monday or tomorrow or the next meal, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how
probably
I think.
not even
Yeah,
that.
I think the 80-20 is a good like maintenance thing.
Yeah.
Because like if you have a specific goal of like, okay, I want to build the most lean muscle I can for this specific period of time, or I want to like tone up, lose some body fat, recomp a little bit. For that amount of time, you might want to be more like 90-10.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're probably more like 90-10.
Yeah.
But actually, when I think about it, like every night, almost every single night, I make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. And even though it's probably not considered a treat to most people, it's a treat to me. I wouldn't say it's super healthy. It's definitely better than a lot of options. But like that's my treat. So if I do that every night, that's 7 a week, and I probably eat at least 6 or 7 times a day. So that's still less than 20% of my total meals.
Yeah.
Then one blizzard.
And then my blizzard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess when you put it like that, there's quite a lot of wiggle
even if it
room.
was 90-10, that's still 3 to 4 times a week that you can have whatever you want.
Yeah. And it's not gonna
completely derail your results at all.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want it to be like a whole entire pizza, but
Right. Yeah.
whatever like a normal serving would be or something.
Like I don't want to overstuff.
You could
myself.
also consider it on a calorie amount. So like let's say you had a calorie goal of like, okay, I'm going to eat 3,000 calories a day, 7 days. So it's 21,000 calories, 10%. 2,000 calories out of my 21,000 I can have of whatever I want.
Right.
So if you wanted 2,000 calories of Oreos, you can freaking do that as long as you
Yeah, Alex Hormozy does that where he there's a really cool video on YouTube where he breaks it all down. He's like, there's an amount of calories that I need to hit for my goals, and then there's the amount of protein I
Yeah.
need to get. And he's like, wherever calories I have left over, I eat whatever I want. Which for him, he can eat Twizzlers and whatever. He brought all this like junk food,
Yeah.
and he was like the most in shape person to this meeting. But he's like, I just eat like, I think he's like 200 grams of protein is like, or 150 by breakfast and lunch, and then dinner he has whatever he wants with dessert. Always never skip dessert is his like tagline.
Yeah. Well, the only downfall of that is like he's probably not getting as much of the nutrients that he needs, like the vitamins and minerals, stuff like that, because he's not getting the veggies and fruits. But realistically, it's really, as far as like body composition goes, it's more about calories and protein than it is about the quality. Is like how you feel. Right. I think like if you had the right amount of calories, but it was all donuts, you're probably gonna feel like a garbage can. You're not gonna feel very good, but.
Like you could survive on protein shakes and donuts and a multivitamin, but you're not going to feel great. You're going to probably be super hungry. Yeah. You're going to have blood sugar spikes and crashes. Mm-hmm. And so like, obviously there's a balance of it, of like what's quality. And that's why we have like 80-20 or 90-10. Yeah. And then as long as you account for calories and stuff, then you're pretty much golden with that. Yeah. You're pretty much reaping all the benefits that you can while still being flexible. Yep. And so that's first one. And then the second one kind of goes into that like perfectionistic standards of like, or maybe like expecting too much, or having, it's good to have high expectations, but like you need to have grace for yourself too. And I feel like for a long time I'd just be like, oh man, I'm not doing enough, or I should be perfectly hitting all these different things, or like just like never being happy with or grateful for what I was already able to do or what I was already doing, and not having like realistic standards of like, I actually am doing pretty decent. I'm like, man, I don't have enough money saved and I haven't bought a house yet. And I'm like, I'm 21 years old. Like, you got to be kidding. I'm like, why am I being so hard on myself with this? Which I think it's good to still, have those standards, be hard on yourself sometimes, but there gets to a point where it's too much. Yeah. So, I mean, like, now it's better, but it's something that I definitely used to struggle with in the past, and sometimes it like still kind of comes up here and there. Yeah. But that's one thing that's like I think a lot of people can struggle with is they're like especially parents, they're like, oh, I should be like, they want to get better with health and fitness, but then like they have work, they have their family, and there's like all these things that they feel like they're not good enough or that they're not doing good enough in. Yeah. And it's like, you just have to give yourself credit for what you're currently doing. Right. And like, you're still doing a lot, and, take a hard look at it and be, I don't know, kind of just like have grace for yourself in that sort of way.
I have some thoughts on that. So I think it's good to like hold yourself to a higher standard, but at the same time, like, don't beat yourself up if you're not to where you want to be yet. Instead, and what we've done quite a bit lately is like, okay, let's come up with a plan of how we can get to where we want to be, and then reverse engineer how we're going to get there. So like, let's pick up, let's say we want to be at a certain point in the next 2 to 5 years or whatever. What do we need to do, or who do we need to become? Which is one of your favorite taglines and quotes, is like, who do I need to become to be able to achieve X? And then reverse engineer it. Okay, here's what I need to do every day, every week, every month. And that's how I'm going to get to where I want to be. So I think for you, like, having a high standard for yourself and having these big goals is actually really, really good. But like you said, instead of beating yourself up like, oh, why am I not there yet? It's like, okay, what do I need to do to get to where I want to be? And then let's reverse engineer a plan of what I need to do every week or every day in order to get there.
Yeah. So, because like bullying yourself into doing it never works. And it's, okay, what actionable steps can I take that'll move me closer to where I'm going to be? Or like, what's the person that I need to, like, who do I need to become to achieve these things? Yeah. And that can be in relationships, that can be in your career, just life in general, fitness, like, okay, that best version of myself, and then what I want my life to look like, what kind of skills do I need to build to get there? And that kind of helps too. Yep. And then, let's see, mindless eating or snacking is something that everyone kind of struggles with that. If it's there, you end up eating it. And if it's in sight, you end up eating it. Environment's huge. I'm definitely learning more about that. And I mean, we've learned a lot about that through our Prosper Nutrition and how critical. Like there's the Google employees where they just like changed things around. They didn't take out any of the bad foods, but they just made them a little bit harder to access, and then they made healthier options more present, and it drastically improved the amount of healthy foods people were eating. So environment's really, really big as far as the mindless eating goes, because if you just keep these junk foods or like foods that you can just like snag,
it's readily available,
and
you can see it, you're gonna have it.
Yeah, you do it without even thinking about it, and then like having snacks or having foods while watching YouTube or watching TV at night. And I mean, that's been a habit at night for a long time, having some sort of food or a treat, usually just like food and like watching TV. And it's like you're not even enjoying the meal because you're just like paying attention to what's on the screen. So I've been doing a lot more meals like sitting down at the table, like focusing on just like putting my phone down, like maybe I have music or a podcast or something on, and so I'm just like still engrossed, like focusing on the meal that I'm having, enjoying it, that sort of thing. So sitting at the table really helps with that, which I'm sure there's going to be times where I do eat in front of a TV or, eat while I scroll or eat while I work or something like that. I still do that occasionally, but adding more times in where you're not just mindlessly eating and shoveling food in, like it helps to build those better habits over time. Over-consuming caffeine is one of them, and we're gonna do no caffeine November.
Yep.
We've got someone to hold us accountable now. We've made it public, but no caffeine November. It's a little nervous, but it's all right.
We're gonna need all the support we can get.
Yeah, we're gonna need support. I feel like we're going through like a drug rehab or something.
If you want to join us, feel free.
But I'm kind of sick and tired of sometimes, I'll be out and not in my usual spot, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have coffee, or like, how do I get my caffeine? Because I know if I don't have it by a certain time, or if I just like don't have it during the day, like I get a headache, I feel dizzy, I feel nauseous. It gets bad if I don't get caffeine in, and I'm like, I just don't want to feel that way, so I'm like, okay, I just got to like get my caffeine in, and I always like put off actually cutting it out because I know I'm going to be tired for the first week. But I think it'll just be better once we actually cut it out.
Yeah.
Because it's I guess it's something that doesn't always add to it. Like I enjoy my cup of coffee in the morning. I like the pre-workout. I like, the energy drinks and everything like that. So it adds to my productivity, but it also just feels like a necessity at this point more than like an addition.
I don't like being reliant on it.
Yeah. I don't like feeling like I have to have it.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like with desserts and junk food with people too. Like they rely on that. Like they have to have that. They almost have they develop this addiction to it.
Or like, I have to have my pop once a day or whatever, or like I have to have this, and you don't actually have to have it to survive.
Right.
Like you look at it and you're like, it's not going to kill me. Like I'm going to be miserable, but it won't kill me.
Right.
There's a lot of things that we don't actually have to have, but going on that kind of stuff, like social media or like TV binge sessions, that would be another thing. Like if I'm not doing anything, or maybe I could be doing something more productive, and then
kind of like what Dylan was saying.
kind of like you were saying, like I've struggled with that too, and I've blocked social media during the day on my phone, like just like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that. The stuff that I'm going to scroll through reels for an hour and just be like, I wasted an hour of my day and I don't feel any more rested or anything like that. So blocking that during the day. So then if I do want to a little bit at night, it's fine. And then, that way I can get more stuff, be more productive. And on that, it's kind of like the 80-20, the same thing with desserts, treats, like 80% of your day should be productive, whether that's working out, self-development, and then 20% of the time, like you'll probably have more time on the weekends for it, but 20% of the time do those like junk food activities, or like kind of like mind junk food of like, like social media and watching a TV show or something like that. It's because it's not really, it's entertaining you in the moment, but it's not giving you any benefit long term.
Right.
So it's kind of like junk food, but for your mind.
Yep.
And so like yeah, 80-20 on that. That's kind of the goal. Obviously, sometimes it's more like 70-30, sometimes it's 80-20, sometimes it's 90-10. You know, we all kind of fluctuate depending on
To dial.
where we are. Yeah. Next one, let's see. Gymnastics, that's a struggle. I was practicing handstand walking and I kept falling over. And it's just like, you know what? This is just like when you're a baby and you're trying to learn to walk and you fall how many times before you actually learn to do it. So I think we have got, it's hard to keep failing at something, but then to keep going. It takes like a different mindset with it, which I used to just like not work on my gymnastics unless it was already programmed. But now I just like throw it in here or there of like, okay, like I'm just going to practice my handstand walks for 10 minutes. And whether I am great or whether, you know, I can't even figure out how to kick up right, just doing that, trying to get more comfortable with failure and being okay with struggling with things and not knowing how to do everything. It was really helpful when like Jeff came, because it was like, oh, light bulb moment of, I always tell people, or we say all the time of like, hey, get coaches, get someone that's more experienced than you like us to help you, because obviously we've spent years and we have all this knowledge to give to people that don't have the years to go and do all the research. Why don't we do the same thing with like Olympic lifting coaches and gymnastics coaches? And it's like, oh, we could have done that. And I'm like, why didn't I do this earlier? Because I felt like since I'm a personal trainer, I should be able to figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
Like I should be able to, you know, look at my movement, look at YouTube, like learn all this stuff myself. And it's like, it'd be so much faster if I just like did a couple sessions with Jeff or like the Olympic lifting coach or something like that. They see things way faster than I would. Like it would take me 2 years to figure out that. And they can teach me it in an hour.
Yep. And
I'm like, okay, we got to work on that of like being okay with asking
for help,
right? Like being like, this is a weakness of mine or this is a struggle. And like, I don't know enough to be able to do it myself.
Right.
It also comes from an ego thing of like, I should know, like I'm smart enough to know, or like, you know, that kind of thing. So it's being humble and being like, you know, it's okay that I don't know everything.
Gymnastics is very humbling.
Yes, it's very humbling because like one day you're doing great and then the next day, like stupid double unders. I can get like some days it's like 75 to 100 unbroken, and then some days I'm struggling to just like string together 20 in the middle of a Metcon. I'm just like, I kept tripping in the same one. I'm like, are you serious? I just did 40 of these unbroken. Did I forget how to do them?
It's kind of like golf, honestly.
Yeah, it is like golf.
Golf is the worst. Is that it?
Yeah, that would be, that's it.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Trainer Talk. If you are ready to gain back control of your health and fitness, we would love to sit down and chat with you to see if we can put together a plan for you. All you have to do is head to taylorhutchinsonfitness.net and book a free consult. Again, make sure you like and subscribe if you like the video, and hopefully we'll see you soon.